just want to bring attention to you issues that have been facing our city, and I feel that right now we're at a crossroads in the right way, or we're going to be in trouble. So I turn it over to Councilman Sam.
Thank you, Mayor, and I thank everybody for coming out today. I know you're all real busy, and I especially like to thank Aaron and Debbie and Judy and everybody in the city that's helped us get these numbers together. And of course, we'd like to thank the bank for allowing us the space to have this discussion. Can everybody hear me okay back? Good. First off, why are we here? And I believe the main reason you can draw is to have a tax issue brought up, and that's pretty evident. I don't know, including myself, I don't like any taxes. I don't like sales tax, property taxes, income taxes, you name them. I'm just not. But the reality is we have to have these. In our situation, the city of Magnolia has a serious problem. If we don't address now, we're really going to be in trouble on down the road. So at this point, I'd like to go ahead and start the PowerPoint and let you look at some numbers that we have here. And I hope you can see them, and I apologize for those of you in the back. These numbers are based on 2011 actual revenue from our operating account, the projections for 2012, 2013, and 2014. Again, this first screen is your revenue. And I ask anybody that would like a copy of this, please go by City Hall. We'll gladly give you one, but we certainly didn't know how many to prepare for tonight, and we didn't want to waste the paper, and so, but we'll give you the go ahead to the next screen. Just keep on going down till we get to pretty much the total funds available by year. We took this budget as conservatively as possible. In 2011, or for the 2012 budget, the council worked, in fact, almost the whole council worked as a group, as a finance committee, and worked very, very hard and cut areas, and Councilman Farrah can elaborate more, but we cut areas that we probably, it might come back and bite us. But we wanted to do the best we could to get to as close to as we could to a balanced budget. Still knowing that we're going to have to look ahead at these future years, because you just can't keep cutting the areas we're cutting and continue. So if we could go on to the next slide. We are not including any pay raises. The city employees do not have pay raises. We did some adjustments with our police and firemen, which is part of the mayor's plan to try to attract the best of the best for our community, which our community deserves. But other city employees have not received a pay raise, and these projections do not include any pay raises. So let's go ahead to the next screen. Again, pretty much everything stays about the same. A lot of the projections, as you can see, the equipment, this is under the police.
This is your government right here.
Oh, this city? Okay. So we cut the 20,000. What was that out of, Debbie?
That would be like for a city inspector truck this year.
We cut out
it out
truck.
and put it back for next year.
Okay. Like I said, in 2012, we did a lot of little things to try to get it back to a budget neutral best we could. Let's go on. And again, this is a little easier to see when you look at it on paper. Go ahead to the next page. Okay, fire department expenses. Again, salaries are pretty much consistent throughout. Pretty much everything's carried forward. The grant expense that we did receive was offset by grant revenue on a previous page, so that wasn't an item we carried forward, but we can't count on that. So let's go ahead. I'd like to go ahead and get on through the fire and going through the police, and let's go ahead and get to the bottom line page where you can kind of see where we're at. And based on the numbers we're looking at here and the estimates and projections we're making, at the end of 2011, in that middle column that says year-end balance, we will have in our operating account $487,000. We estimate 927.
We had that. That's it.
Excuse me, that's 2011. Projected, thank you, Debbie. In 2012, that will be reduced to 353, 244. At the end of 2013, we're going to have that down to 126, 407. And at the end of 2014, we will actually situation, what do you do? If you don't go ahead and address it now, again, this also includes, we're not able to do any repaving. It does consider the east-north extension, the completion of that project. But there's been some problems we've had with that, that we're having to spend some more money out of our general budget for interest payments and such. It's hurt us going into these future years. So, what do we do? That's why we're here. We're looking for options, folks, and one of which the mayor proposed a 5.6 mil tax that would cost property owners $112 for every $100,000 of assessed value of property. I think some of you may have some illustrations that we passed around. If you have a property of $150,000, it will go to $168. $200,000 worth of assessed property, $224 a year. $300,000, $336, and $560,000 a year. Okay. Again, this is just an increase, just if you were just to go with the 5 mil, the same type of illustration. The previous screen was a 5.6, which would allow us to raise the police and fire pension plans, which are one of the big issues that's really hurting our city budget that we did not have to deal with in previous years. Sales tax. Quarter cent will cost you. A $4 lunch will add 1 penny to your bill. A $40 grocery bill will add 10 cents to your bill. $400 purchase will add $1 to your bill. $4,000 purchase will add $10. And of course, $40,000 will cost you an extra $100. Go ahead to the next screen now. If you spend $800 per month on groceries, etc., you'll pay an additional $24 per year with a quarter cent sales tax. Back in '97, the city of Magnolia voted us 15 years ago to approve a 1/2 city sales tax and the 1/4 cent economic development tax. And the city council at that time considered a 3/4 cents tax for the city, but decided 15 years ago to proceed with the 1/2 cent tax for the special election. And that was 15 years ago. They were even thinking back then that we probably needed that quarter. And we estimate that the 1/4 cent will generate about $560,000 per year. The City Finance Committee has worked diligently, and in fact with all of the council, and I thank again all of the city council and the mayor for everyone's input, because we spent hours looking at options, trying to come up with options. And at this point, we have come up with the idea to have a bit of a hybrid. We would recommend that we would have a 1/2 cent sales tax that would have to be approved by the citizens of Magnolia. Excuse me, 1/4, forgive me. And in addition to that, we were going to increase what we currently and have done for the previous years, the police and fire pension from 0.2 to 0.5, or a total of an additional 0.3 mils. Again, that can be levied by the city council. That does not require the vote of the public. So, at this point, next last one. Okay. So, at this point, we're looking at and asking you, the citizens of Magnolia, what other options do you see that perhaps we don't see that we should do? Again, none of us like taxes. We don't want to raise taxes in any form, fashion. But as you can see from the numbers, and I ask everyone, please come by City Hall and pick up a copy of the budget and see where we're at. And I know, and again, then I'm going to open up the floor, let any of our other council members express their thoughts. I know our sales tax rate in Magnolia is incredibly high. I don't think that 1/4 cent is going to make much more difference where we're already at 9.625 state, city, and county. If we add the quarter, we'll still be under 10% at 9.875, and it's just an option. And by putting that out in a special election, it would allow the citizens to make that decision. If they decide against that, then the mayor's proposal would be the next option. which would be raising property taxes, a total of 5.6 mils, and you can see what that would do. And that's not necessarily a given, because the city council would have to approve that. And if the city council didn't approve that, and Mayor, what's the next thing?
You show them on the screen, the money's gone.
Money's gone, so what does that mean? We have to cut personnel.
I have to cut services in police and fire, and parks, and city hall. And y'all crime's going the way we want to, is down. Cutting services is not what the city needs.
Does anyone on the finance committee have anything they'd like to input here, or anybody else on the city council?
Would I be correct to assume those projections are probably, I imagine it's thinking, well, there's a good chance our revenue's gonna go up. And I imagine they probably don't take that into account, but they also don't take increased costs into account. So folks, with people looking at that, be fairly accurate to see one is kind of offsetting the other, keeping those figures you're showing is pretty accurate for what we probably expect. If there is any, we know there's going to be cost increases in the things that city buys. We don't know there's going to be revenue increases, but we're certainly hoping there will be.
Well, and you make a really good point there, Les. There are several factors that we did take into consideration. Pretty much we had to be conservative, because these are only estimates. But we feel like we know now that we're going to have to pay more for the police and fire pension plan. Even if we raise, and when we raise the millage to 0.5, that's still not enough to cover the deficit at this point. And again, that was probably due to actuarial computations done that were not accurate, because how, they have to invest these monies in retirements and safe CD type secured investments that they probably thought would be gaining 3 or 4% 6-7 years ago, where they're only gaining 1%. So now it's come back to bite us there. Projections are only what they are.
Could you explain the pension problems? Is that because of state funding stop, or we always had it that way?
Well, I think it's a complicated issue. Let's take, for instance, and I'll try my best, and Debbie, please chime in on this when you can. Take, for instance, the police pension plan. For years and years, we've had a 0.2 mil tax in a separate fund that pretty much, with a small assistance from City General, covered the amount that the actuaries tell us that we have to pay each year for their retirement. Now, that calculation also has a little factor in it based on automobile insurance. Part of the premiums that you pay on your automobiles go into this fund, and then it's redistributed back to municipalities. That formula has been changed to benefit larger communities and hurts the smaller communities like us. So we're not getting as much of that money back. And on top of that, a lot of people are only getting cut rate insurance or maybe bare bone insurance for a short period of time to get their vehicles licensed, and then dropping it right after that. We're estimating it's probably going to, and we know that we're having to recover for several other years. That in the next few years, we're looking at some significant costs there. I hope not. Yes, sir.
Well, how much more is needed for the department and the police? It's $200,000 I heard that's it now. Next year, how much will be needed to maximize that 200,000?
We projected next year that the firemen will cost about $50,000 out of the general fund. And that's on top of what the fire millage pays. And that's just, like he's saying, that could change. We don't expect it to go down, but it could go up a little bit. The police, about $65,000 this year, 60 the next year, 60 the next year. that's unfunded.
So $200,000 this year, $500,000 next year.
No, sir, I don't know,
That's
it's
right.
not 200 this year. We put in here 20,000 for the fire this year and 65.5 for the police. The fire is less than the police, most of the, but actually the state made a mistake on how much we were supposed to pay this year. They'd already certified it to us, so they had to stand by it. Next year it'll go up a little more on the fire also.
Talking how much?
85 to 90,000 this year. The last couple of years, it's been right at 100,000 for the police and 30, 40 for the fire.
Yes, sir, Judge?
Do you mind kicking back to your projected budget for 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014?
Did you want the bottom
I
line?
just wanted to figure, no, I wanted to see how much we're losing each year according to that.
That,
Revenue,
Off of 500,000 we have now in, a little bit less than 500,000 we have in surplus. It won't be to 2014 before that's completely depleted, 93,000 some odd dollars. So we're losing somewhere around $220,000 a year.
yes, sir.
So to maintain the status quo, we're going to have to find some revenue to increase it 235,000 to maintain the status quo now.
And that's the status
How
quo.
much does the city want to raise it to? What's the
Well,
amount the
it's
city
kind of,
wants?
it's amazing that the mayor's proposal of 5.6 mils and the quarter-cent sales tax happen to be pretty close to about 560,000 a year. Of course, we need obviously 200,000 just to keep things as they are. We do not have any revenue set aside for any street improvements. Now, the street department has a fund, but their fund can only pretty much patch and maintain what we have existing. But we don't have a fund set aside for resurfacing. And the mayor and I have discussed that if perhaps the sales tax were to pass, that we would designate perhaps $15,000 a month and put into a repaving fund and manage that fund and don't touch it unless there was a catastrophe, that you had, hurricane, tornado, whatever like that. But use those monies strictly for resurfacing because, and again, dollars are only going to keep going up. It costs about $100,000 per mile to resurface streets in the city limits. So that's part of what we wanted to do, and that's about $180,000 of the other.
Okay, that would be somewhere 400 some odd thousand.
Raises. These folks hadn't had raises in 2 years, 3, and, that's something else we need to look at too.
Okay. And sales tax would bring in right at 500,000 per year.
A little over, about 5. It was just projected.
As would the millage increase.
As would the
that y'all
millage.
have.
They're almost apples
So it's
and
not
apples.
necessary to do both. It's only necessary to do one of the two.
That's correct. And we can bring the sales tax issue up to a special election and let the city decide whether they'd rather pay a small amount. I know county residents aren't as excited about that, or they're already complaining about, and so I know the merchants are not happy with where we're at already at our sales. I've heard that customers come in from out of town and say, I cannot believe your sales tax is so high. And so I feel your pain. I'm not trying to advocate one thing or the other. I'm just saying, why not let the citizens have a voice in determining whether they want to make it a sales tax that's going to cover the deficit that's evident, or whether we want to go with the property tax. And actually, the proposal we're requesting will have a little bit of both, sales tax and a small millage increase. Yes, ma'am?
Did you not say that the finance committee recommended both of them?
A small percentage on the millage. Instead of 5.5, we're wanting to increase it. It's 0.3 twice for the police and fire, so it's 0.6 of 1 mil instead of 5.5.
There's two separate millages. You have a general fund millage, which if the sales tax passed, we wouldn't touch that. There's a pension millage. That's the one that we already have a little bit in. It was at 0.2. That's the one that we would try to increase, and it would generate approximately 60,000.
0.2 is generating about 23,000. If you went to 0.5, 56-ish.
So there's two separate millages.
this schedule here, do you know that?
On the pension millage, how much would that
We
increase?
did
Oh,
research
on
on
the,
that.
on the point three and the
Yeah.
point three, it would add about, at point three would add about 30,000.
But you're
Okay,
talking about per
on
person.
the $100,000 house would increase it how much?
Oh,
It was like 120, 100.
We did a research on a $150,000 house before, and I believe it was gonna go up about $21 a year. Per,
that's the lesser increase of the property tax increase.
is it per pension or total?
No,
Total,
total.
$21 per year.
Yes, sir.
You said that, 1/4% sales tax, bringing about $500,000.
Yes, sir, but we're projecting about 560,000.
Well, last year, a 1% sales tax, solid waste, started 3,256,000.
That countywide?
Countywide. A fourth of that, $839,000.
But aren't you collecting from the entire county, all of those sales, Taylor sales, Emerson sales? We're just looking at the city limits of Magnolia.
Well, if you have a sales tax, it's countywide, right?
No, sir. Citywide.
City.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's how you.
That's why it's less than what you come up with. Very good question, though. Thank you.
But y'all's figure is based upon what the city received last year, I guess.
And estimate, that's how we forecast in the future, too. And we hope it would be more.
So, one, that's a lot of comment. As you are well aware of in the council, the rural community has no vote in Magnolia sales tax. However, we're just affected as you people are. And we feel like, I feel like, and some of my neighbors, we are supporting the budget problem. We got along with the county.
I understand.
And you're encouraging us quite often to shop Magnolia. I just run against one another, you know. And the millage that most of our cities in the county runs from 3 to 6%. And I look on the sheet and you got 0.4 for Magnolia.
Well,
And by millage affects just the city.
that's correct.
So,
Do you get any goods and services provided by the city?
I get to spend my money up here.
You shop here, and your cars are protected by our
Yeah.
police.
But the problem is, we got a shortfall in running city government, okay? And that shouldn't, we in the rural community shouldn't have to pay for it. But we're paying for it
And that's an
over
argument,
there.
that's a very, very good argument to make, but I truly believe in the county residents, and I love them all. I mean, I think that when they come to our town, they utilize our streets, they're just shopping, they may work here in the city limits, we have police and fire protection for them as well. Mayor wanna kick in on me, or get shot.
Well, all I can add is in January, I made a formal request to the council because last year, I sat with the treasurer all year, we were trying to figure this thing out. It's just gonna take more money, y'all. I'm sorry, but the cost of doing business has gone up. But if you'll look at this spreadsheet that we passed out, we can just start with city village breakdown. Magnolia's in the bottom of the barrel. I asked for a millage increase because it takes 8 council people. Honestly, I didn't think the people would vote in sales tax. The council decided in February to put it out on the table. I support either way, y'all. We've got to have some money to keep the services flowing into the city. And that's the only reason I went with the millage. We can back this back and forth. The county's got to pay, and they should, and the city's got to that's why we're here tonight. We're looking for input from you. But we want to continue to provide for the city what we do.
Well, I think it's imperative that we do, and I think that the mayor's plan to upgrade our police to a pay scale that would be much greater, or not much greater, but more attractive for someone to come to Magnolia, as a new recruit, train, and stay here is a whole lot more important than it is to start cutting our police and cutting our fire department and worrying about the effects that could have on your homeowner's insurance and such as that. I'm like the mayor. We're just looking at options. The only reason that we have until, I believe we have to levy taxes in October is the city council. So, we can have this millage, the sales tax discussion prior to that and get the community's input. We're not talking about a lot of money, 4%. We tried to demonstrate that. It's not, I know we're high already. We're still gonna be under 10%.
But property taxes that have a millage against it, right? That's what I pay property tax on, through the millage. And I'm looking here at no millage. It's supported by sales tax, and it's my sales tax dollars that you're asking for. And I don't even get to vote, you know.
And this, we went through all this in the hospital, like we're
You know,
trying on.
I sure want to help you, but, you know,
And I agree, I appreciate your comments there, but there's another aspect, and I wasn't on the council at the time, but when we voted to add the half-cent city sales tax and then the quarter-cent economic development tax, part of that deal was to drop the 1.6 mil property tax. That was just the way the sales tax was sold 15 years ago. And we were relying on monies, to operate on for all these years based on projections of what the revenues were just 15 years ago. And one other thing, and Mike Waters, please help me here if you could. Am I not mistaken that the millage that's paid for the Magnolia school districts and perhaps the whole county is one of the lowest ones in the state? And if they ever needed a rate increase.
Not the whole county. The Magnolia School District alone pays the ninth lowest millage in the state of Arkansas out of over 200 school districts. And we've had one millage increase in the last millage increase for schools was 1999. Now, it's easy to tell everybody else how to run their budget or try to. In that budget management, that's a $28 million business, and that school is a $2 million business. And we've been able to do $32 million worth of improvements without asking the public any kind of millage increase. Of course, we've always kept the rabbit in our hat was the community has always supported us every time they've ever known that we needed a millage increase, except for one time in the history of Magnolia Public Schools, and it just wasn't presented to tax to the public, and they didn't support it. But every budget's different, Yeah, we've had to let people off, we've had people retire, and we've been able to fill those positions, and it's not a fun process, but, there comes a time from time to time, and there's no doubt about it, you have to have more money. And there will be a time that the school will have to have some more money. I don't think it's in the near future.
The handouts that we gave y'all, I know you'll study for weeks to come, but it shows you the breakdown millage. It also shows you the tax rates on the second page. Our neighbors, what they charge, with the tax increase that was at 9.875. We're still close. If you look at the back sheet, it gives you a breakdown of state, county, city, and the hospital. What we do, we've got to have health care, y'all. We're not talking both. We're talking sales tax and 0.5 and 0.5 for fire, police, pension, and we're talking whatever the council decides to do in October. But the budget's posted to City Hall. Sam was told to come in, Debbie will go through this line after line with you. We want you to understand, but we want Magnolia to be here 5 years from now.
Just understanding this, I don't know which one it was handed out, it's still at the
say if we approve the sales tax, what to do to get that back on? Does that have to be voted back on?
Any vote by the people, the only thing to be changed is vote by the people.
How many
City,
years is it till the hospital tax sunsets? Hey, we stop left,
Eternity.
20 years.
35, 38 years from now.
Sam, did you all just figure out that the city was in this problem? I mean, as the
Oh,
council,
absolutely not.
other people,
When we
why
were-
is it at this point in time, and all of a sudden now, we're broke? Why hasn't this been addressed in years previous? And I've got a second question. Can you tell me how much it has cost us to develop East North project? And then I have a third say, that I own more than one piece of property in the Magnolia area. I would vote for a sales tax because that goes for everybody. If you own a house, if you don't own a house, if you come from out of town, you pay the sales tax. I think that was more uneven to let everybody pay than if you own a piece of property in our town.
That's what we're here to discuss. The mayor's right there, the numbers more exact on East North.
On East North, prior to me becoming your mayor, phase one, I believe that it was $1 million. Okay. Phase two, the city's part is 1.5 million to complete the east side school highway 79.
Steve, what was the first question?
How come you didn't know how?
Oh, well, when we started looking at the budget, I guess when Mayor Van just about to take office, we realized that we were gonna, looking at about a $239,000 depletion of our operating revenues. And at the same time, we had the county coming to us requesting assistance with the 911, which is another area we're gonna get into sooner or later. We realized then that we were gonna have to do something, so we decided, and we started working on the 2012 budget, which I guess we started on that August.
Yeah.
I mean, we started looking at it, and that we were running into the same problems. We had countless meetings, didn't we, guys? Girls? And just nitpicked all we could, and finally got it down to somewhere around $60,000 deficit for the year. But then again, we knew, once we got into 2012, that we had to take a look at these next years, because we can't just keep doing it. And we knew, when, I guess probably, when we were looking at the 2012 budget, seeing that we were looking at, originally we were looking at over $200,000. We reduced that down to 60 just by cutting corners and just doing the best we could, making some adjustments. That soon into 2012, we were going to start having finance committee meetings to look into the future and forecast the budget and come up with a right number.
But what, I'm seeing 560,000, what are you gonna do about infrastructure within the city? As far as roads, water, sewer, and what have you, because there's been discussion about a new police station, a new fire truck. I mean, what are you gonna
Well,
do
yeah,
about
part
that
of-
if you take it now? And what are you gonna do in 3 to 5 years? I feel like inflation's gonna hit, where we then have to come back again and do it again.
Well, we'd always have the option, if we pass the sales tax, to go back and raise the millage. if we need to. Go ahead, Mayor.
Chief, I'm sorry, Steve, I don't know if I can answer this, but when I asked the council for a millage, that's what I was trying to do, was think down the road. Our streets, the condition, what we're going to do with them. Chief Maxwell, on a phone call, will let you tour our police station. And Chief Penner will gladly take you to the firehouse and show you our situation with the truck, which there's going to be a PowerPoint at next Monday night city council about the truck and the fact that our city is outgrowing the truck. Do we have to have a fire truck? Do we have to do anything with the police station? I'll let you decide, but I'm not going to come to you and ask for a $500,000 raise and not give you a reason for that. We're not just going to bank that money. I'm trying to think 5, 6 years down the road for the city where we're going to be. it's up to y'all. My job is to point out, which I've done with the city council and I've done with the public. I work for y'all. If y'all wanna make the improvements and do these things, police stations up, we will. If you don't, we won't. If the money's not there, we can't. But I'm not just gonna come ask you for a pay raise and not give you a reason for it. So we've gotta think down the road. I think we've been living in the here and now and today. We've gotta think about our children, our grandchildren, and where's Magnolia gonna be 5, 6, 10 years from now?
I was just wondering, of course, we kind of got two constituencies here, people in town that own a lot of land and pay more money, and the people in the county. And I just wish the people in the county would consider how the county's going to be if the city goes down, if the city declines, and trying to keep its status and abilities and capabilities. That's going to be worse on it. That's going to have some effect on the county people. Now, I wonder, of course, I know the folks that don't own a whole lot of land, and are glad for people that own a lot of land to pay more. And the argument can certainly be made that the people that own more land take more city services, fire protection, police protection, but at any rate, is it possible to put a cap on this, on the millage, to where all of the major landowners would know what their maximum, just like we capped sales tax before at $25 or this and that, would it be feasible possibly to cap this millage where Steve would know if he votes for this tax or supports this millage, that it's going to cost him $1,500 a year maximum? Is
I
that
don't
something
answer
that's
that. I
feasible?
mean, that would be something that the county could answer more so than I could. Maybe somebody else in here would know the answer.
Do you have any idea how many individuals own property in the city of Magnolia?
Barrington, you might know. Sorry, Mr. Murphy.
Well, the proof's gonna be in the pudding. And as we scan through those numbers, and we got to the bottom of it, the proof and the money that needs, some of the money that needs to be generated is gonna be in those top numbers. And there was a lot of things that was added to the 12 budget that, was not in the 11 budget. And there was, a lot of overages in the 11 budget that wasn't budgeted in either. So we went over there and we went over again here. We've added new expense categories to our budget in 12. So there's the proof in the pudding. You say you need a couple $100,000, and you say you can't find it. Well, I can see categories that when you put the top number in there for projected budgets for 12, you actually had more money to go in that hole than you could. You may say, well, we started with 12. There's no way you're going to know in August that's what that number's going to be. Because the budget that you're showing us has the old original August number in it. So that you have money left over at the end of the year at 12/31 that's not reflected in there. So, and I don't think that, we went into a recession, 09. We're just now starting to come out of it. And I don't think we need to have a knee-jerk reaction to taxes when we're on the increase on automobile taxes. Everything's kind of starting on the increase. So when I realize that the city council feels like it needs to do something, but they, it may be in the pudding here.
Well, for any of your individual line items, I ask you to get with Debbie, because she can almost answer most of that stuff.
I'm not sure what, give me an example.
And he's probably looking at a different
Well,
budget than you're looking at.
It would take a minute, because I don't know.
We'll just
Well,
get
yeah,
together.
why don't y'all get together?
We'll just get together and look at it, that's fine.
Okay, and the audit that, the city of Magnolia did for 2010, where there was on the legislative audit website, an accounting firm did, and the numbers sometimes in here was not reflective of the numbers in here. And I don't know,
We'll get to that.
I'm not an accountant, you are, and I'll get with an accountant and explain to
Well, when
me.
y'all get together, I'll be glad to.
Those numbers
Yeah,
look like they
yeah.
are.
Just let me know.
Say,
Yes, sir.
you might want to touch point too, if a tax was implemented
city has to have, or else, we can start planning the ghost town church. Maybe we can, invite people to come see what used to be here. So we need something. Now, personally, I'm against sales tax. I consider them aggressive. I don't like paying property taxes, but I'd rather pay them than any chance of driving consumers away from my business. That's just my opinion.
Good opinion. I can agree 100%. I think our sales tax is way too high already. And I think most people agree with me.
Just to point y'all, I'm looking at the screen, it's 2012, and let's just say that the public says no sales tax. City council has to levy millage in October. I don't know about y'all, but I pay my taxes on the day they're due, 30 minutes before the office closes, so in 2013 is when I'm gonna pay my 12 taxes. That money's not gonna show up till the first quarter of 14. Y'all see the number in 14. We're gonna cut it close if we have to wait on millage, but I just encourage the council, if the tax does fail at a vote of the people, to do what's right for the city.
Mr. Sam,
Sir, Councilman?
I am a council member, and I've sat in on most of these finance meetings, even though I'm not a financial committee member. Can anyone say why we are dropping the general fund revenues each year? What has occurred? I know
It's a
expenses
combination.
go up.
It's a combination of things.
Okay, but I'd like to, I don't know that anybody's ever explained that to me.
The biggest chunk is the police and fire pension plans that we have to fund that we were unable to
Understand,
get
because of the state legislature reformulated. I don't like that.
I don't either. I don't have all the answers to that, but
I don't know why we can't find out something on Little Rock about that.
the other portion is state turnback dollars are decreasing. As you know, the state has a balanced budget. All states ought to. The state of Arkansas does.
They're bouncing on us.
They're balancing on us, exactly.
Franchise
Franchise
tax
taxes.
has gone down, general fines have gone down,
Okay.
General
Now,
fines
that's
is
something
really,
else.
really
Oh,
strong.
interest has gone down. We used to get, pretty good
Okay.
interest.
Then look in that direction to get our original revenue back.
We tried.
Well, I know you
Yeah,
have.
I know.
you have. I just don't understand. And maybe I'm not obeying the rules of the land here, but the Little Rock to me is messing with us. And whatever else, why are our fines down? Anybody know?
Not completely.
I think Mayor Cornell and Breakfast Soul said the crime is down a little bit, but the paper's still full of people that are being arrested.
Courthouse is full every time I go
Every
through.
time you look up there, it's full. Where's the money?
Councilman, I go to court on, district court on Tuesdays, yes, the room is full, the people committing crime are mostly unemployed.
I have the wherewithal to pay the fines.
We turned over what was it, almost 600,000 in outstanding court costs and fines. That's been let go for years, and we've started in fines and collections after the people in 2010. I didn't turn over January 1 of 10 to the collection group. Those are fines that as mayor, the city's incurred under my watch. We're working those ourselves. I keep a close watch, but I don't know if it answers the question. People doing crime are unemployed, and that's one reason they're doing the crime.
We're still spending a lot of money on the processing that,
That's
not
exactly
getting
right.
any revenue on it.
And they're not put in jail for their crime.
What happened to our franchise fees?
The Public Service Commission, I believe, lowered electric rates to the public, like private, and
Yeah,
that's therefore,
I think they said they
trickles
did, but
down.
I don't know that
You
I've
hadn't
noticed
noticed it yet?
You know,
But that's supposed to trickle down to us.
That's the utility company's use of our public streets and roads to have, gas lines, electrical lines, cable lines, et cetera.
Is there any direction on that? He's talking about asking for other directions.
Answers, I'm asking for answers, not
Answers,
directions.
okay, I'm sorry, I don't have the answers.
I don't either, just got suggestions.
Would like to go back if we had our original revenues. It's dropping. I think a while ago when y'all were just, off the cuff figuring it, I subtracted here on paper, instead of 200,000 a year, it's 134, so next year's 127,000 that's dropping, but that's still a tremendous amount of drop.
12 to 13.
Last year was 235.
Yeah, 12 to 13, it's over 200,000.
Yeah,
It's
that is.
353 minus 126.
The expenses.
Nobody's gonna hear from you.
No, I feel strongly against the sales tax. I know you make it sound ridiculously, low, you know, and what the increase adds to the tally. But when you stand behind the counter and give somebody that, you know, the final verdict, just like you said, how much do you charge, it really adds a lot. I think there's a mental thing about it going above 10%. I know this increase won't be 10% quite, but it's dangerously close. What if the state does something right on the heels of us doing something locally? They've threatened for years. What if that happened? It would really, I think it would blow up our little town as far as people coming here to shop, because we get lots of compliments on our little shopping area. That's my 2 cents.
Well,
I'm not gonna ask, but, what little bit we hear at City Hall, take it with a grain of salt. I know personally, I went through McDonald's drive-through Saturday, and I was charged $1, and they took $1 and a dime. And I did ask, Revenue in Little Rock about that, and the merchants can round up to 10 right now. And merchants, y'all help me, but y'all turn in 9.625. So I don't know how many of our business people are already rounding us up to 10, because honestly, y'all, I'm used to paying tax. I want the goods.
Where does the balance go?
I would think the more sophisticated cash registers computate that pretty close on the round.
I was told by Little Rock, if it is rounded to 10, that the merchants can keep it, they can send it to 9.625 and they'll keep it. And, I've got his name right here.
We're wasting y'all money.
Y'all need to get more.
When you get in trouble, you know who to blame.
I talked with Tony,
We're just trying to
actually,
keep our customers coming from out of town. I'm not going up to, like McDonald's, I'm not McDonald's, but I'm not going up to that. I mean, I'm gonna charge what I've got to permit, and I'm not asking for extra. Because I want those out-of-town merchants to keep coming and shopping our downtown and our downtown price, so that's not an option for me there unless I'm told that I've got to go up and that's when I pull that gun. I'm not gonna do that. That's right.
All of these cities were mentioned that all have higher millage and everything, or what's their budgets? Are they all thriving? I mean, when y'all talk, it sounds like, I mean, I understand, what you're saying, but El Dorado and Arkadelphia and all the ones that are higher, I bet if we'd go to their city council meetings, it would be, oh, poor. I mean, even though the village is higher and ours, it has been for a good while. I bet they've got woes too. I mean, do you know the budgets of any of them?
I didn't.
I did this, y'all, I just took our neighbors.
Yeah, and I've seen this before, but I think budgets and, millage and taxes are just part of what we have, and everybody needs to tighten up. I mean, let's face it, everything's in dire need of something, and,
Well, you can always find something to fix.
It's like our household budget, the personal
That's what I'm
budget,
talking
what they're
about.
getting. If they're getting 50, they'll spend 50. If they're getting 30, they'll spend 30.
well, my daddy saved part of that off before he spent.
Well, again, I'd like to point out, of course, we
I think
won't,
y'all should too.
if we get the millage, if that's the way we have to go with it, we're looking at a year and a half before we're gonna have any, or at least 2 years, 2014, first quarter, before we're gonna have any of that revenue. If we go with the sales tax, that'll come in a little sooner, and we, either way, I suggested to the mayor that we designate $15,000 a month, the $180,000 a year, that would be put in a fund so we can start resurfacing our streets. Otherwise, if we keep the status quo, we're not gonna have any street repair, we're not gonna be able to pay our raises to our city employees. It's just, it's tough.
One more thing, Sam, and I'll shut up.
Well, all right.
The governor's talking about a 5% gas tax. We'll get some state turnaback on that if it passes. I don't see any opposition out there. I serve on the local council, I'm not hearing any opposition on that. And I feel like we're going to approve in the general election.
That means it.
No.
Yes.
You know, I went to a meeting in Little Rock at the state chamber on that tax, and, it was a meeting of economic developers from around the state and Chamber of Commerce people and some others, and that day at that meeting, the group from the state rose, got a bunch of negative comments. And a lot of cities already had taxes in place, Russellville, Clarksville, just to name a few, not me, that already have a tax in their city for their streets. And so they were saying, you know, you're gonna be hard pressed in our communities to get that passed. And then I did comment to them at that meeting that, you know, what our sales tax already was, and that we were looking at possibly having to do that. And I said, you know, in Magnolia also, you'd be hard pressed to get our people to vote for that statewide tax. So they did get some press back on that at that meeting, and there were probably, I would say 50 or 60 people there from around the whole state. And they didn't walk away with very few positive comments. And even Randy Zook, head of the state chamber, you know, he wanted that meeting to be positive and it to be, you know, because it is, I mean, you know, our highways are also a need in our state. But a lot of communities, you know, it's gonna be tough.
Well, I knew that the chamber was doing a pushback on the sales tax for gas, but I didn't realize that they were doing a pushback. And look, I thought.
Well, no, he wasn't pushing back against that, highway tax. They just were presenting it, but the group of people that were there were pushing back against that.
So we need higher gas prices. Councilman Lewis, I believe you were trying to get my attention.
I was going to point out one thing. I think Texarkana shopping, to the best of my knowledge, now is done on the Texas side, which is 8.25%. I don't know of any malls, so to speak, like Dillard's and so forth, at least my wife occasionally goes to, they're all on the Texas side, which is 8.25 rather than 10%. Again, I'm not stating which way I am on it. Again, I will say this, personal point, I'm not sure that it's fair for 35 or 40% of people that own property have to foot the whole bill for the tax. So that's what I'm hoping to learn in this meeting, how the general public is.
Even though the Texarkana, Texas tax is cheaper, you don't save any money going over there to pay that 8.7% tax.
People don't go to get out of town, though. I mean, you want to go somewhere else.
Right, but you haven't saved any money. They're not saving any money.
A couple of general comments, totally ignore any sales tax savings.
All right, Gary, you had a question?
Yeah, well, a couple of comments, Sam. First of all, I couldn't agree with you more. Nobody likes taxes. I hate taxes. The cost of everything is going up. We know that. Talking about gasoline, go buy a loaf of bread. Every time you get a bill, you've got a new, higher, greater improved tax or fee, whatever you want to call it. And then just to add more misery to that, you've got a smaller and smaller percentage of the population that are getting the privilege of bearing these costs. These taxes are distributed among an ever shrinking group. I understand
city's in, something's gotta be done. I still think the first and foremost focus has got to be on efficiency, eliminating waste, doing anything you can to reduce your operating expenses. And I know that the council has spent a lot of time looking at that. I know those efforts are being undertaken, but that needs to continue. Just gotta do it. I personally would favor the 4% sales tax.
Gary, one other, just to follow up on what you said, when businesses and industries looking at our community, they're also looking at our police, our fire, our streets, our public and private schools, and, you know, we've got to do the best we can for our communities in all aspects. And if we start cutting those areas, if we get our fire rating raised, everybody's homeowner's insurance is going up, you know, when the mayor's talking about needing for a snorkel truck, that might not even be enough, who knows, we'll see.
I definitely support police and fire, the essential services. I think, you know, like many of us have had to do it at home in these tough times, there's lots of stuff you'd like, but by golly, I just can't afford that right now. I'm gonna have to do without, because I don't have any place I can go and get an extra 0.5%. I've asked several folks, but I haven't been able. If y'all are interested, see me after the meeting, I'm taking contributions. I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, we've got to realize the people who are paying taxes, they're already getting hit pretty hard. We need to go as easy as we can, and as I said earlier, the emphasis, the continual focus has got to be on how to do it as reasonably as we can. Efficiency and elimination of waste, and we do the best we can in those terms.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Well, does anybody else have any more comments on sales tax?
I don't really know how this shakes out, but it would be another factor when we're looking at the total taxes and millage, and particularly the sales tax in these other nearby towns where we're higher than a few, lower than a few. Of course, we don't know what any of those other towns are going to be doing with their sales tax rates either, but I think, and this, affects the county taxpayers too. I think it's important to remember that we get our trash picked up out of that 9.63% sales tax. Now, I don't know how in these other counties, how that's paid for, but I know if it wasn't paid for like that, it could be costing a normal household $50, $60, or $70 a month to get their trash in. And of course, we get the hospital out of that sales tax. And of course, I know there are people that don't think we need that, but still, that's certainly something, if you're going to build a community, I never heard anybody disagree that it's a pretty critical thing to have. Now, what happens in the other towns on those things and how it affects how their 9.7 or 9.5 relates to our 9.63, I don't know. But that's pretty important to me that that's something that one of those expenses that we chose to spread out, and it seems to work pretty well for our community, it seems to me.
I just have one question on the city millage breakdown.
I'll try, Pam.
No, are we not currently paying any millage for city streets?
Actually, doesn't that
They
work
get
through
some-
this?
I think the county has a millage, a road millage, and we get just a little bit of that because we have roads in the county. But we
Okay,
do
so on
not have
the
an
receipts
assessed.
where it's listed
It's
Magnolia
county
City
road.
Streets,
It's
do you know
road.
how much it is? Because it says county roads, and then there's one that says city streets. I'm just curious as to how much it is.
We don't have any millage in the city that we levy except the .2 fire and .2 police. Anything that we get is levied through the county. So it shouldn't say, I don't know why it says street, but
It just says Magnolia City
okay,
Streets.
we'll have to check into that. But it goes into the street fund. It does not come into this.
Get it on a pro rata basis,
Okay.
3 bills, pro rata.
Good. I put myself in the shoes of all the city council, and y'all, city council, I gather, listening to you, think that we need an increase somewhere, but whether sales tax or the millage increase. I never have been opposed to putting into a vote of the people and let the people decide first first, and if they decide no sales tax, then I feel sorry for y'all in November, October, when it comes up.
Well, that's exactly what we proposed. But actually, what we proposed is to put it before the residents in the city limits to have a special election to vote for a 1/4 cent sales tax, but we are also going to raise the millage fractional. So I want to make very, very clear with that if the sales tax does pass, we're going to raise the police and the fire pensions, well, we're going to vote to. I mean, I think we were all in agreement last time we discussed when it gets down to it. Voting, you never know for sure, but that's the plan. So we don't want to sell this thing if it's perhaps passed as a sales tax only, and then when we raise the millage fractional in October, that we didn't tell you in advance. Oh yeah, and raising it to 0.5 is not still going to cover the police and fire pension shortfalls. So it might on fire.
It'll come close on fire, but it won't on fire.
Councilman Lewis?
In regard to the millage, or possible millage increase, in addition to the fractional, I know this was in the paper yesterday, and I heard other conversation about it, and I think one question the public has posed to me on phone calls and face-to-face conversation, it sounds like that the council is going to get the tax one way or the other, the full 5 point, and that's, I'd like clarification on, I don't know what the plans are exactly, but that's what was printed in yesterday's paper, the editorial, or at least that's the way I interpreted it.
Well, either direction we go with the sales tax or the higher millage, it's going to generate approximately the same amount of money. And as we were showing you, we're looking at probably somewhere around $200,000 a year that we're going to need to at least, so that only leaves us $360,000. We're talking about reserving about 180 of that into, or more, just good, into street repaving, because you can't get the equipment trucks down here to do 1 mile or 2 miles. They want to do 7, 8, or 9 miles. So that fund's going to have to build up for years. And so the rest, we're looking at police raising their salaries up, raising the employees, giving them a raise, and having room to do that in the future. Making sure that we don't cut out the police car in the years that we have. And so it's pretty much all pretty well spent.
Yeah, well, I understand. I'm a councilman. I understand. I just, like I say, some people have, if you don't get it this way, we're going to get it the other way, and I'm not sure that's the exact.
Well, and I think where Mike's going is, if we have the sales, well, I'm pretty sure we're going to have an election for sales. If that fails, then it'll be down to the council to generate the revenue and to levy millage in October. And if they fail to do that, that's when services will be cut, or have to be cut. Fewer firemen, fewer policemen, fewer city hall employees. It's pretty much where we're at. And other than that, I'm begging for a suggestion and answer.
Thank you. That's what
It doesn't necessarily mean that the council's going to pass that. I think it's the point you're making.
Well, Sam, if the 1/4% sales tax does pass, you said that would generate around $560,000 a year.
Right.
You still feel like that incremental millage increase is required?
I feel like that it would be better to do that instead of having to come back in a year or two and request that. And plus, I feel like my input I've been getting, it's more of a hybrid. It is not as strong and heavily a burden to property owners, but it is still more the burden. They put in a little more as well as the entire community.
Sam, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're just being kind of told what's this now.
Well, not exactly, Lamar. You know how to vote, don't you? You know how to get out and campaign and get your votes together. If you're not for a sales tax and get ready, it's probably going to be a millage increase. I mean, that's
Is it kind of simple though, that, the sales tax, you're getting everybody that comes in Magnolia, they're paying their part. If it's business, if it's county, if it's city, you're spreading it to everybody.
correct.
If you go millage, if you own property, you're
again, I feel y'all's pain, I think our sales tax is already incredibly high. We are sales tax in debt. We're just looking for options. And if, you know, if it doesn't pass, then so be it. We have to look at our next option. Yes, sir.
Could we, revisit that sales tax that I talked about, earlier? A 1% sales tax goes off better than, $3 million.
That's countywide.
Okay. If you have a sales tax of a 40%, that's countywide.
Citywide, it's just within city limits. That's, we can't.
Well, yeah, but we spend our money up here, so you still get the 40, okay? So that is 800,000 and not 500, the way I feel.
Well, the 300, or the 3 million.
I understand what you're saying, but
I mean, the dollars that are spent in Emerson,
it was up
Taylor.
here. Yeah, boy, they got some infrastructure.
That's how that's generated, to get to the 3 million, 1 penny generates over 3 million. So, this will, and I appreciate you guys coming into our town. I mean, and that's one other thing, you know, we have to realize the county works with the city, and the city needs to work with the county, because we all are all one.
That's right.
And we need to always be one. We can't do it without you, and you can't do it without us.
It's something that, since I have an opportunity, I'd like to comment on it, that we've got to realize that there's less than 25,000 of us in the whole county. And what we're looking for to build on, someone's not gonna stop in Magnolia if he's gonna spend several $1 million here to do something. He gonna look countywide. And so, we've all got to work together, is what I'm trying to say. Because we have a heck of a good place.
We do.
And,
We live anywhere else.
and I think that us and them stuff don't work. You know, I don't see the future, because I don't see the best future.
You're preaching to the choir, I agree with you 100%.
I'm pretty good.
Do you have any other comments, suggestions? I'm gonna take advantage of this, and Mary, anything else?
Thank everybody for coming.
Thank you.
Debbie and I are available. We'll gladly answer any questions you have, and I'm sure we'll meet again before time.
Thanks again, everybody, appreciate your time.